track riding. It's a fantastic way to improve your skills as a motorcyclist, feel like a proper racer, and occasionally terrify yourself into a new appreciation for life. It's fast, it's thrilling, then again, it's expensive and it can be intimidating.
Which brings us to the world of Mini-Moto. Tiny bikes, small tracks, maximum fun. Yeah!
You might laugh at the idea of buzzing around a go-kart circuit on something that looks like it was designed for a child. But the truth is it has all the same benefits of riding on a full-size track. Same technique, same physics, just a much lower risk for doing damage to yourself or your bank account.
So the real question is, which Mini-Moto should you choose? The good news is that Zach and I have spent an unreasonable amount of time riding, crashing, and generally misbehaving on nearly every Mini-Moto under the sun. And with that hard-won expertise, we are here to guide you through your options for Mini-Moto track riding pleasure.
On the spectrum of track-worthy mini motorcycles, there are plenty of exotic, high-strung machines that promise blistering lap times and adrenaline-fueled glory. And then there's this Honda Grom. The Grom has been around the United States since 2014, and while Honda has made some tweaks over the years, it has largely remained the same. That is a 125cc four-stroke single-cylinder engine making count 'em, 9 horsepower. That may sound like about as much fun as a dry sponge, but because the Grom only weighs about 220 pounds, it can still hit speeds of up to 60 miles per hour. Best of all, there are loads of them on the used market, often for less than $3,000.
Once you get your Grom to the track, you'll notice that power is, well, modest. And the foot pegs drag, and the brakes will fade if you push them too hard. But it's cheerful and cheap, and it's just a downright delightful way to dip your toe in the world of track riding. Plus, it's street legal. So theoretically, you can ride to the track, thrash around for a while, and then ride home with no need for a van or trailer. Provided you don't hurt yourself along the way.
In this same category, you could also buy Kawasaki's Z125, which is actually a smidge sportier than the Grom. Or one of the many, many Chinese knockoffs that always promise to be just as good and are usually worse in every way except price. At the end of the day, we recommend the Grom because it is the undisputed king of this category. You can modify them until the cows come home. They have fantastic resale value. And no matter how much you spend, they have the ability to make even the most serious adults giggle like school children.
Speaking of children, these are kids' dirt bikes, or at least they were. And for those of you that want more speed and performance than a Grom, or you just don't mind getting your hands dirty with a project, whew, these are the Mini-Motos for you. The child's dirt bike turned supermoto comes in many flavors. From the Kawasaki KX65, Suzuki RM85, to the Honda CRF 150R and the like. These are proper little motocross missiles with loads of performance potential. 85cc two-stroke or 150cc four-stroke, you're looking at about 15 to 25 horsepower in a 130 to 175 pound package. It's a potent combination and can be a surprisingly good fit for full-size adults.
Now, two-stroke versus four-stroke is where things get interesting. This RM85 here is cheaper out of the gate, lighter, and makes great power in exactly one place, the top of the rev range. Woo! If you can't keep it singing, it's pretty slow. Meanwhile, the CRF 150R is easier to ride, smoother, and has enough torque that you get to choose between gears. In other words, the two-stroke RM85 is much more demanding and difficult to ride, whereas the CRF 150R, it'll let you make a few mistakes before it tries to spit you off. Oh. The real downside to the 150 is that it's significantly more expensive and still requires a ton of maintenance.
Either way, turning one of these into a pavement shredder means upgrading the wheels and tires, the suspension, possibly the brakes, and generally spending more time and money than you might prefer. So while you can buy a used dirt bike for a couple $1,000s, expect to pour that much and more into mods if you want it to work on track.
But if you don't mind spending $3,000 to $6,000 and potentially enduring a catastrophic engine failure at some point, a modified 4-stroke dirt bike is one of the fastest, most hilariously fun ways to drag knee and ride Mini-Moto.
Now, if the idea of putting on different wheels, fiddling with suspension, and only spending $6,000 fills you with dread, there is another option, the Ohvale GP2 190. Built by Italians for kids who are destined to be world champions, this little rocket also works for full-size adults who are certain they could have been world champions. It has a 187cc engine that makes around 25 horsepower. It weighs about 160 pounds and the seat is 27 inches high. Those specs are tiny in the world of motorbikes, but what this bike also has is a radially mounted front brake and fully adjustable suspension. It even has authentic racing bodywork, which doesn't really do much, but it will look awesome when you do this.
Yes, it is expensive. $7,750 to be precise, but you can start clocking lap times right out of the box. And you're gonna look and feel just like a real live racer. The only downside, other than price, is that this thing doesn't really do casual. It is sharp and precise, and it wants to break lap records whether you do or not. Oh, and all that Italian pedigree means it's probably a little more expensive for parts than a regular Mini. Woo! So, if you want the baddest little sport bike on the block, or you dream of turning pro one day, it's pretty tough to beat an Ohvale. Whoa, power wheelie! Oh, that's wicked.
To recap, if you're simply a little curious about Mini-Moto, play it safe and get something street legal like a Grom or a Z125. If you're curious but serious, then you could buy or build a converted dirt bike. And if you're serious about being serious, well, then you go whole hog and you get a mini Grand Prix bike like the Ohvale here.
But if that still feels like too much, and all you really want to do is try riding around a racetrack without breaking the bank, the best bike to use is probably the one you already have.
Whether it's a cruiser, adventure bike, or a somehow even smaller kid's bike, using whatever motorcycle you own can be a totally viable way to experiment with track riding. Rules vary by organization, but many will let you brung what you brung, provided you don't ride like a complete maniac.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the beauty of Mini-Moto. Whether you're wringing the neck of a pint-sized dirt bike, going full Italian with an Ohvale, or just terrorizing a kart track and whatever two-wheel contraption you pulled out of the couch cushions, the result is the same.
Big fun, big lean angle, only a smallish amount of money lit on fire, and the kind of thrills that'll make superbike riders wonder what they were ever doing with 200 horsepower in the first place. Because this is awesome!
get it off?
Yeah.
Did you spaz out at the end?
I spazzed out at the end. You should probably do one that's a little calmer at the end.
It was a fucking great wheelie.